September 11, 2001, the Twin Towers in New York were attacked, and over 3,000 people were killed. What most people don't know is that 9/11 caused a major health revolution throughout the state of New York. More than a decade later, that revolution continues to unravel.
Within seconds of the collapse of the World Trade Center site, building materials, electronic equipment, and furniture were pulverized and spread over the area. This affected the well-being of many people, including workers inside the building, first responders such as firefighters and police officers, as well as people down the street. The fumes spread quickly and dangerously, poisoning everyone in the area. In the months following the attacks, dust from the collapsed buildings continued to fill the air of the World Trade Center site.
Many people began suffering from a type of cough dubbed the World Trade Center cough, whose symptoms include asthma, wheezing, breathlessness, and inflammation of the lungs, similar to that of bronchitis. It also often includes acid reflux and nasal congestion. In fact, 95% of firefighters developed dyspnea, or shortness of breath, 87% developed gastroesophageal reflux disease, and 54% had nasal congestion. In the first 6 months after 9/11, 128 out of 1,636 firefighters with a high exposure to the fumes suffered from the World Trade Center cough. In addition, thousands of people throughout the nation were diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
The dust from the collapsed towers was widely toxic. The millions of tons of toxic debris resulting from the collapse of the Twin Towers consisted of more than 2,500 contaminants, including cancer-causing toxins like asbestos, mercury, polychlorinated biphenyls, cadmium, and dioxins. These substances are very deadly and can also trigger kidney, heart, liver, and nervous system deterioration. This was well known by the EPA at the time of the collapse.
I have COPD, congestive obstructive pulmonary disease. We're still working. A lot of this, we're still working. Rhinitis. That means I get a lot of flow from my nose into my throat. I've developed rheumatoid arthritis, which may or may not be related to that, but it's very unusual somebody my age to get that. Normally, you would expect it in a woman late 20s, early 30s. That's the normal profile for rheumatoid arthritis, and I'm 67.
Lewis Karras was not the only one with such health issues. Many other victims of 9/11 were found with similar and even worse circumstances.
On September 18, 2001, a week after 9/11, EPA Administrator Christine Todd Whitman told the public via a press release, "We are very encouraged that the results from our monitoring of air quality and drinking quality conditions in both New York and near the Pentagon show that the public in these areas is not being exposed to excessive levels of asbestos or other harmful substances." She also stated that, given the scope of the tragedy from last week, I am glad to reassure the people of New York that the air is safe to breathe and the water is safe to drink. However, that was not the case.
In August of 2003, a report done by the Office of the Inspector General of the EPA said the Bush administration pressured the EPA to remove cautionary information about the air quality at Ground Zero. Therefore, Christine Whitman, EPA administrator at the time, was ordered by the White House to lie to the people of America. She was to claim that Ground Zero had been cleaned up by the EPA, when in reality, they had skipped the first procedure that ensured quality breathing air. As a result, people suffered deadly symptoms from the toxic fumes.
At some point, this is the very horrifying argument that's in the email. The email says, at some point, the American people are going to blame the Bush administration. The actual facts concerning the impact of the attack on New York City must be hidden from New York City. The White House ordered the EPA to lie to millions of innocent American citizens and put them in danger of what was in effect a chemical attack by Al-Qaeda. The White House became the ally of Al-Qaeda. Now, Christine Todd Whitman went public and said very famously, quote, "Your air is safe to breathe, your water is safe to drink." and they pretended that the only contamination was on the block where the World Trade Center went down.
However, Whitman has a different opinion about the situation.
First of all, understand, what we said was the air in Lower Manhattan in general was safe to breathe. There's been absolutely no scientific study that says that that wasn't true.
Okay.
We also said that on the pile, they needed to wear respirators. That was based on the scientists, on what we were getting real-time readings.
The government began receiving more and more requests for compensation. Slowly, people began realizing the cover-ups and lies told by the government. Angry people came together and riots and rallies began to form. The government tried to make amends the best they could without admitting they had both lied and sacrificed the health of its people.
The James Zadroga Health and Compensation Act, in which $4.3 billion would be used to compensate and treat people with 9/11 related illnesses, was signed by Obama in 2010 to help survivors.
To the public, these acts seem proficient, considering that a total of $38.1 billion were provided for the victims. Yet the truth is completely different. The Zadroga Health and Compensation Act has barely helped these people. 11,000 of the 65,000 first responders did not receive compensation for their health problems. In addition, approximately 63% of those deceased in the terrorist attacks on September 11 left behind a spouse, leading to a reform of the people.
Individual counseling groups have formed, including Tuesday's Children, a group for families of 9/11 victims to meet and bond.
To help them move forward, a group called Tuesday's Children has organized counseling, mentoring, and summer trips.
In the beginning, Tuesday's Children was there just to develop trust with the families and children.
My husband was a firefighter, so have this big, strong man just not come home creates a lot of fear.
Over the years, we have done a whole platform of programs for these families.
In all honesty, I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to be here. I'm not the only one who felt this way. There was no way I could raise 4 kids by myself.
Their courage and their growth, it's just incredible.
We now help 10,000 people directly impacted by the events of September 11.
And I'm proud to say I did survive. I do want to live to the fullest, and I'm very proud of my kids and who they've become to be.
From tragedy, we can develop hope for a better world.
There are also numerous databases and networks that include contact information for survivors to talk and keep in touch. The Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, or TAPS, was established in 1994 to console those whose loved ones were lost in the military. In addition, communities established charities to provide funding for those hurt. These charities include the Twin Towers Fund, New York Firefighters Disaster Relief Fund, and the New York Police and Fire Widows and Children's Benefit Fund.
The health revolution of 9/11 endures due to the inadequate reaction of the government. More than a decade later, reforms are still being made. It's up to the government, however, to make the right decision and end the revolution.